The harsh reality is that not all cars are created equal, but they can be very, very similar to each other. Just a few strokes of the designer's pencil, you can go from having a family hatchback to a hot hatch hooner in just a few flicks. So with that in mind, today we are exploring the 1 Series family. The BMW 1 Series, the baby of the BMW family. But even though it's the smallest of the lot, it doesn't mean it is cheap and nasty. This is a BMW 120d. The D stands for diesel, and under this beautifully sculpted bonnet is a 2-litre turbocharged 4-cylinder engine producing 190 brake horsepower and just shy of 300 pound-foot of torque. It's all very relevant because it means it can move you and your family around in speed and comfort. This particular model here at Big Motoring World comes with xDrive, so a 4-wheel drive variant in a hatchback. And if you want to know more about how your drivetrains work, then you can just click on the banner or the link in the description, and we will talk to you about front-wheel drive, all-wheel drive, and rear-wheel drive. But as you can see, this is a beautiful example of a 1 Series, but it doesn't stop there. Let's pop inside and I'll show you the interior. The interior of this 120d is very, very nice, but once I'm finished, you will see the differences between the other 2 cars and this one that make up our trio in the 1 Series comparison test. Let's start with the fact that this has an M Sport trim on it. So interior, you've got M Sport seat, nice and sporty, and with a nice buttress so you don't get waggled around if you drive with a bit of a spirit. The M Sport steering wheel, very, very nice. Interior stitching that should be body coloured. And then on the outside, a number of indicating elements that make it look slightly sportier, a bit haunchier, bigger arches, etc. In terms of what you have in front of you for driver comfort, well, you've got a digital dash. It isn't a full digital cockpit like you get in the 128Ti or the M135i, but it's still very, very good. In the center, which is nicely adorned with the faux carbon that you get as part of the M Sport pack, you've got a slightly smaller digital screen compared to the 128Ti and the M135i, but it's still very, very good, and it is touchscreen, and of course has that legendary BMW iDrive, which you can manage through the center console using the little rotary dial that we have gotten used to. It's got mobile phone charging in this particular model that I'm in right now, which is a lovely addition. And because it's relatively compact and the windows are good, pretty easy to park in the city. This has got the parking sensors all round. It doesn't have a rear camera, but it's so small and easy to see that actually that shouldn't be an issue. Overall, it is a lovely place to be. Could there be more options? Well, yes, of course, something that we will explore as part of this 1 Series review, but overall, it is a wonderful cabin for your money. Practicality is something that the 1 Series excels in. The boot will hold 380 litres worth of stuff. The seats at the back go down flat and you have yourself a tiny little van. Now, this particular 120d has been equipped with double sports exhausts, a very nice touch. So even though you're driving a diesel, you will look and potentially sound like you're driving something a little bit meatier. Nice touch. What do you get when you take an ordinary 1 Series, add a bit of racing pedigree, tune the engine a little bit, and give it some snazzy trim? Well, you get this, the BMW 128Ti. Now, cards on the table, this is possibly my favourite 1 Series, not just that we're reviewing today, but of all time. Why? Well, because I own a 128Ti. Yes, I have one on my driveway, and I'm going to tell you why I think this is one of the best cars that you can buy. Ti denotes lightweight and sporty, engaging driving. In fact, Ti existed before even M-Power or M-Sport. The Ti brand, if you like, has only appeared 3 times throughout BMW history. This is the only BMW throughout the entire range, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, 7, that you can get the Ti on. It is a truly unique car on the road, and BMW have done a really good job of making it feel and look unique. Let's explore exactly what they've done. So much of what makes the 128Ti the ultimate driving machine happens under the bonnet and under the skin. Starting with the 2-litre turbo under the bonnet. 265 brake horsepower, and it gets you from 0 to 60 in just shy of 6 seconds, which is plenty quick in the real world. The car is just under 1,500 kilos, so it's relatively lightweight in this day and age for this type of car. Power comes through the 2 front wheels, but it has a limited slip diff, which means it moves the power around depending when it needs it. It is incredibly grippy on the road. Take it from me, sometimes this feels like a 4-wheel drive, and even more fun, sometimes it feels like a rear-wheel drive. BMW will tell you that this doesn't have lift-off oversteer. I can promise you that it does, and if used appropriately, is pretty fun. Overall, the fizziness of this car makes you want to drive it. It makes it an engaging process. It's squatter than other 1 Series. It's tauter, so the upgraded suspension system does give it a bit of a lumpy ride on some of the roads that we have here in the UK, but do not let that put you off. I have driven my 128 all over the country many times, and it has been a comfortable and an engaging ride when it wants to be. It is a fantastic, fantastic engineering feat from the boys from Bavaria. The blacked out front grille, in fact the whole car is de-chromed compared to some of its compatriots, both in this test and generally on the market, and it gives it that slightly more aero looking feel, if not in practice. Overall, I think the car looks rather aggressive, and because it has tricked out suspension and is squat throughout, it really does give it something a little bit different on the road. It is obviously lighter than the M135i that sits above it in the BMW family. The inside of the 128 Ti is a rather luxurious yet sporty place to be. So you've got a very nice M Sport steering wheel, very similar to the 120D that we have reviewed as part of this test as well. But you have a full digital cluster in front of you that is super adaptive, so you can play with what you see depending on what you like to have informed to you while you drive. The center console has got that ever so BMW iDrive system and a full touchscreen infotainment, but it is slightly bigger than you would get on your average 1 Series. Money well spent. The center console, pretty average if you like. You've got your driving modes selector, but in the center you've got a lovely TI emblem stitched into your console, which just reminds you that you're in something a little bit special. And if that isn't enough, well, you've got red stitching throughout in this particular 128 Ti as well, and then your seats are lovely and sporty. If you go for electric seats, or the option you buy has got that, then they are slightly easier to play with, but fundamentally these are fine. The BMW M135i. This is the latest iteration of BMW's beefiest car from its smallest offering. This has got a 2-litre turbocharged engine underneath this Hornsey bonnet, giving you over 300 horsepower into the ground via an X-Drive all-wheel drive system. It does have rear bias, so it can be somewhat exciting, but overall, this has upped the game in terms of hot hatch power, and it needs to, because it needs to keep up both figuratively and literally with the competition. Think the Mercedes A45S AMG and the Golf GTI, and it does very, very well. This will missile you in Misano Blue all the way to 60 in shy of 5 seconds, 4.8 according to the boffins from Bavaria. It is, however, a little bit porky. It comes in at over 1,500 kilograms, which means it's pretty heavy for a hot hatch, but let's be frankly honest with each other. That is the reality of cars nowadays. They are getting big, they're getting beefy, and this is no exception. This is all about brawn and brutality rather than poise and precision, compared to, say, for example, its little brother, the 128 Ti. Not necessarily a bad thing, but not quite for me. However, when you jump inside, it gets very, very special in my humble opinion. The interior of the M135i is really rather plush. It's comfortable and sporty, which is my personal sweet spot. So in front of you, digital display, you've got everything you might need. You can adapt it very similarly to, say, the 128Ti, but it's very, very good, very, very, very crisp, very, very clear. Sports steering wheel, of course, this is a rather sporty car. You are going to need to have something, frankly, to hang on to when it takes off. But these seats, wow, wow, wow. They are sports seats. In fact, they're very similar to the ones, if not identical, that you will find in, say, an M235i, a video you can watch by clicking in the description or in the little thing that should appear above me. But they are so supportive and so sporty that, frankly, it's worth it just for those seats. The interior stitching is lovely. Obviously, you get M Sport seatbelts as well, which is a nice touch. And then the iDrive system to control your car as you go along. I'm not going to bore you half to death on the BMW iDrive system. We know exactly what it's good for. I think it's one of the best on the market in general today, so crack on with that. It's got everything you might need. Auto Android, Apple CarPlay, you name it, it's all connected wirelessly. It is fantastic, and frankly, you don't need anything else in your life. Overall, wonderful, wonderful cabin, but it makes you feel like you are in a fighter jet, and that is a good thing. Worth mentioning on the interior of this M135i is the ambient lighting option. So you have 6 separate colours that you can choose from, and the light comes very elegantly through these plastic, although carbonised fibre looking elements on your door cards, and I've got to say, I absolutely love them. You also get that option on the 128Ti that we've looked at as part of this 1 series as well. But it just adds that nice little something to your cabin. And from experience, when you drive along at night, it does make you feel quite nice. The BMW 1 Series family, subtle in their differences, but they make a massive impact to you as a driver. But no matter which 1 Series is the right fit for your driving needs, one thing is for sure. Out here on our massive Big Motoring World forecourt, we've got the right one for you, because we're big on choice and we're big on what matters to you.